So we're going to talk about job order costing. And in job order costing, you accumulate by the job. All right? So once it's completed, you take the total manufacturing cost divided by the number of units. You have to use some documentation to track each and every job. So typically they have something they'll call a job cost sheet, and it lets you track your direct materials, direct labor, and your overhead based on whatever rate it is you're using. Whether it's a plant-wide rate or whether you're doing activity-based costing, your job sheet will let you accumulate that overhead. Okay, so the collection of all job sheets defines a work-in-process inventory file. So basically, we're moving all this direct material, direct labor, overhead into work-in-process, which is an inventory, right? And so we keep track of everything through our inventories. We go from material inventory to work-in-process to finished goods to cost of goods sold. So a job order costing system has to identify materials, labor, and overhead going to specific jobs. All right, so how do we do this? Well, typically we've got a fancy computer system, right? We've got an ERP, something like, Oracle or SAP. But you can imagine it's a piece, instead of a computer screen, you can imagine a piece of paper called a job order cost sheet. And so you're tracking your direct materials, your direct labor, your overhead, and you're totaling it up, and you come up with your cost summary and how many units did you make and what's the cost per unit. So you're tracking, right? This right here is a cost system. This is how you would track it. Now, do we really do it on paper anymore? No, of course not. But I think that gives you the idea. So in a job order costing, you have these documents, and maybe the document is on a computer screen that lets you track it all through the job, right? So first of all, you're going to order some direct materials, right? So you imagine we're doing a frame shop. So we've got all the direct materials are in the back of the shop, and in order to, your frame maker, let's say you're the frame maker, and you go and you take your material requisition and you request so much of a specific kind of frame, so much glass, so much mat, whatever, wire, I guess all the little glue maybe, all the stuff you need to make the frame that's been ordered, right? So you fill out a materials requisition. So that assigns that direct materials to that job. So you would put job number whatever, and we know that's the frame you're working on, and all these materials on this ticket go to that job, right? So it includes the description, the job number, and just anything you need to help assign the direct materials. So you can imagine taking this document to the materials person, you give them a copy of it, you keep a copy, and they give you some wood and some glass and some stuff like that. So we're moving from materials inventory into work in process. You're going to start working on that frame. All right, so here's an example. We went and the grinding department went and got 100 units of casing, right? So the total cost. Here it's got job number 62. So whatever job number 62 is, for whoever it is going to use 100 units of casing. All right, so that's whatever you're filling that out, and so that's becoming part of our record. Then there's time, so you can imagine if I'm building a frame for somebody, I'm going to clock in and clock out like I'm a line worker making picture frames, so I'm working on my job and I keep track of my hours for that job. And you'll use a job time ticket. Same idea, right? What job are we working on? We're working on employee number 45 is working on different jobs. You can see she's worked on jobs 16, 17, 16, and 16, and it tells us the hours spent. So, you're doing different things on different times during the day, so you're tracking your jobs. And when you become accounting professionals, you'll track your hours on different jobs. So you will definitely use some form of a time ticket. I'm sure it'll be on a computer, but you definitely will do that. All right, so there's your direct materials and your direct labor, and they're on pieces of paper in this example, but you can imagine them going into the computer system. And then we got overhead. So this is the tricky part. This is what the accountant's going to do. So typically, you've predetermined some overhead rate, right? Overhead to cover the, the stuff that we need to cover is going to be maybe labor hours, because that's something we're always tracking. We always track the direct labor hours, but maybe we'll track something else, machine hours, something like that. So get our overhead, divide it by, get our total overhead that we're estimating for the, let's say the year, get our total labor hours we're estimating, divide it, come up with a rate. And then as that job continues, you've got your direct materials, your direct labor, and now that you know how much direct labor you've done, you can multiply those direct labor hours times your overhead rate, assuming you're using direct labor. Right? So once you've got that whole job done, you would divide it by the number of units you made. So in a picture frame, you probably just made one. But could you imagine making custom pencils for the Accounting Society that are blue with gold lettering, and the eraser is shaped like a javelina head, and it's a custom pencil? So you track that as a job, right? Because you had to pull special materials, some special paint colors, order some special erasers, but you made 1,000 of them, right? So you can imagine you've tracked the job in total. Then you divide it by how many pencils you made. All right, so you do often calculate a unit cost, not always, because sometimes you're just costing one thing, like a house, right? All right. So how does it flow in the accounting system? Let's stop here and have that be on our next video.